Let's get started with a listening on Deputy President William Ruto, who's been speaking at Chatham House in London, where he had just finished giving an address on the centered managing constitutional change and governance challenges in a diverse country, and he's taking questions right now. Let's just listen in.
Are satisfied as a country that we have minimized the threat of terrorism sufficiently, we will not walk away from any situation on account of difficulty or anything. So our presence in Somalia is guaranteed under AMISOM, because as a country we believe that fighting terrorism in Somalia is as good as fighting terrorism in Kenya. If we do not fight terrorism in Somalia, we must be ready to fight it in Kenya. So we are better off fighting it in every space so that we stand the best possible chance of eliminating that challenge. Mr. Mutai, on the wage bill and the referendum, I posed the question. We have all manner of suggestions, and I did say that yes, we have issues with the Constitution. The question we need to ask ourselves is, have we reached the threshold where we say we need to take these issues to a referendum? That is a decision that will have to be made by Kenyans in some way. Do we carry out a referendum alongside the next general election? That's an option. Do we have the resources to do the census this year, boundary review next year, an election in 2022, and a referendum somewhere in between? Is that reasonable? Is that possible? That's another discussion that needs to be gone into. So I do not have a straight answer as to whether this should be addressed in the referendum or so. On matters to do with wage bill, yes, we have a challenge on the wage bill, and the challenge on wage bill goes beyond what you have said. I do not subscribe to the people who say we are overrepresented. I think we need to interrogate the wage bill, in the way we should. What percentage of the wage bill comes from representation? What do we need to do? And I think that's a discussion that we do not want to superficially address ourselves to. Mr. Wekesa, about the capacity of the IEBC and the problem we have with elections. I believe very strongly that in our politics, IEBC is the least of our problems, in my very honest opinion. It is only that it is a convenient excuse for people who don't win the elections. The real problem in our country is not the management of the election. Because to the best of my knowledge, and I have been in many of these elections, the real problem is that we have people who participate in elections and they have only one outcome in their mind. And that is not how Democrats operate. If you go to an election and you are only expecting to win, then you have a problem. Because when you go to an election, the options are you win or you don't win. So the real problem, according to me, and I'm not saying I'm right, from where I sit, the real challenge is that we have people who do not believe in democracy participating in democratic elections. So that's where you have a problem. Because if you participate in a democratic election, you must expect an outcome this way or the other way. And for example, in 2017, the year before last, the presidential elections were nullified in Kenya, where I was running mate of Uhuru Kenyatta. So our election was nullified by the Supreme Court.
Well, that's Deputy President William Ruto speaking at Chatham House in London, where he's also addressed an array of issues, including challenges facing the country and challenges that have been facing the country in the past, and how they can act as lessons to other nations, including talking about the IEBC and the election cycle in the country, noting that the real problem lies with the participants of elections who actually don't want to concede defeat. That's what he was talking about, and of course we'll have the comprehensive story in our subsequent bulletin.